Oh, okay. I'm sorry, audience. I'm a little bit behind right now, but welcome to the Michael Eure Show. And this is part two of a discussion that we had before Thanksgiving with men of color. And they're talking about global solutions to ethnic relations. But right now, I'm going to have each of them briefly just introduce themselves, and then we're going to get right into some other things. So I'll start with Richard, and then Akeem, and then Jose.
Good afternoon, all. I am Richard Redding. I am a success coach with the Pathway Success College program for minority male mentoring at Wake Tech Community College. I am a graduate of Florida A&M University, my bachelor's degree, and a master's degree in conflict resolution from Kennesaw State University. I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Michael, for having me.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Akeem McAllister, and definitely some things have changed since the last recording. I am now an infection preventionist at a healthcare center where I live in North Carolina, and I am a graduate of Elizabeth City State University. As you all can see my little lanyard. I probably have them somewhere, everywhere. And I also attended North Carolina Central University for graduate school, and I met Mr. Eure as I had time at Wake Tech teaching ACA, which was a glorious time, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. My name is Jose Fabre Jr. I am a Wake Tech graduate going to NC State for structural engineering in the fall of this year. And I was really looking forward to this after the last discussion that we had. I work for Wake Tech now under admissions and recruitment department, in case anybody need anything. And I'm really looking forward to everything that we will discuss today. Michael?
Thank you. And Sarah, what we're going to do now, if you don't mind bringing up the link, and we're going to just go through the schedule for this year's African American Cultural Celebration at the North Carolina Museum of History. Of course, because of the pandemic, it will be virtual this year. But I'm glad to say that Akeem has been, and Jose has been, and Wake Tech has had a booth, and Jose has worked at the booth, and Richard has been. So if y'all wouldn't mind, Sarah, can you just scroll down? I'm just kind of talking because I'm on the advisory board for this. So it's open to the public and it's free. And as you can see, they have many different workshops. We have celebrate music and movement and all of these things. And it's all free. Some of it is just broadcast live, and some of it you need to register for. So I'm just kind of going through celebrate. And y'all can jump right in and tell us what you felt when you participated last year. What do you think, Akeem?
So I was gonna say, yeah, I'll start. I probably learned so much. I kind of went in as like a sponge and just tried to, like I said, soak up as much as I could. I did see that there was a representative from my alma mater, my undergrad alma mater, and they were talking about some of the history that was in North Carolina. And they were also talking about how veterans of this state, and I believe just all overall African Americans, veterans, how they're treated, and then also just the overall of how those people are medically treated and medically assessed, because sometimes those their mental state is not treated as the same as others. And then also I was able to meet a PA who was an African American PA, and she was talking about skin health and how that could be our skin is treated differently than other people, and how there isn't as much research into that. So we have to, see people who are more well advanced in treating our skin, and we have to treat our skin differently versus some of the more widespread information's out there. So I definitely think if you go to this, or like you said, this year it's online. So if you go to it and attend it, I'm pretty sure you'll learn something like, so right now I see the Black Maternal Health and History of Eugenics in North Carolina with Dr. Kimberly Harper. So that's something I'll probably attend, but I learned a lot when I went there, and it was also very entertaining.
All right. What did you think, Jose? from your experience?
It was amazing. It was amazing. And as you were speaking, I recalled also that I met over there. Remember that violin player that you guys had at
Yes, the young guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, so he actually made it to American Got Talent after that. I don't know if you knew, but
and he won.
Yeah, I mean,
yes, I just can't think of his name.
Yeah, but he is, man, he was amazing. And so I met a lot of people that day. And it was just a great time to just enjoy and look at the culture and meet new people. And it was great. You know, I'm really looking forward to this one as well, Michael.
All right. And what about you, Richard? I think you had just moved here when you went.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so I was a transplant from Florida by way of Georgia when I first initially went to the event, and I was amazed at the amount of history that North Carolina has contributed to African American history, to American history, from no names to great names that have been a part of North Carolina's history, and it just really was amazing. And I had a chance to not only learn about that history, but with the veterans that were served. Also met some people that were involved in bringing some young people to there from mentor programs that were there. I met some young people doing those things. So just an amazing time of learning, and it just continued to pique my curiosity and read more and more on the history of North Carolina. I've always been, partial to Florida because it's my hometown, but just what I learned there it cannot be erased from the history books and the contributions people of North Carolina have made to American history and African American history, and Indian history for that matter as well. Or I should say not Indian history, but the indigenous people's history as well.
Well, they did think they were in India, didn't they? But at any rate, our previous guest talked about the triracial identity of Native Americans, and it's true throughout all the continents, but it's very interesting. So if anybody's interested in getting more information about this, you can just email me. And we'll put our email address up there later, and I will send you the link. And also, Richard, I'm just going to ask you to remind me to mention it at the Pathways meeting Friday. All right, so now we're ready to get into our conversation. And we're going to start with where we ended up, as best I can remember. And one thing I know that Jose was talking about, and we talked about your trip to Mexico, which I thought was fabulous. And you started talking about the role of financial literacy and how that would be a very big help to bring, and you particularly were talking about Hispanics, but you talked about all of the different segments of society being on a financial equal keel. So with this pandemic, how do you think that might have accelerated since then? Or is it really the same, Jose?
Oh, that's a great question, Michael. I think it's definitely much more needed now than it was back then, of course, with everything that's going on right now, because many different people have lost their jobs. And so, having the being able to have different type of help is much appreciated, and definitely much needed. So I think it's definitely worse right now than it was back then, Michael, to answer your question. I believe you're muted, Michael.
I love it when I have co-hosts that help me. Apologize. Akeem, you talked about the medical disparities at the last time we talked, and you talked about your trip when you went to South Africa and how things were somewhat different. And now you're working in a clinical environment. How do you feel the pandemic is impacting, and what can we do to make sure that people of color are properly diagnosed and treated with the pandemic?
Oh, wow. That is a very loaded question. So definitely in America, if you look at just right now, and it's interesting, like I said, I'm very fortunate and thankful to have this position. So the official title is infection preventionist. And when you talk about something as massive as COVID, if you look at the numbers that are reported, you see that a lot of minorities, especially African Americans, Hispanics, and even other races that are considered the minority in this country. I believe last time I checked for African Americans, we are at least 2 or 3 times more likely to be hospitalized. And same thing with the deaths surrounding COVID. More so, I think it comes down to equity. When we talk about health, and I believe even just recently, I try to keep up with all these things as much as possible because every day there's like a news story. One of my favorite congresswomen is Ayanna Pressley, and she was just talking about how her area is very well known for health, but whenever it comes down to equity for diverse cultures and diverse people of color, we aren't treated the same. So I think that's the main thing, and that is one thing that is at the forefront of this new administration. You see, sometimes now it seems like science is important again. So that data I think should be shared and taken seriously, and then also just trying to have I would say, an equitable rollout. And when I say that, I'm more so mean like, there isn't one person over another that is more important to get any type of vaccine or data or information. And of course, like I'm working in healthcare right now. There is a push for those people in healthcare to get it because we're faced with it more. But then when you start talking about even people after that, you have the age, and then you also have, like I said, different people of color that are disproportionately affected. So I think that is what it comes down to. You have to have some people who are honest about the numbers and the data, and just really trying to make it fair. And we don't think about that as we get older because it's just like, some people are like, I have money, so I should be in the front of the line, or they look at other points of privilege and they want to be in the front of the line. But when we're talking about a global society, it really should be about what's fair and open and honest to everyone, because we all contribute to this global society.
Okay, thank you. And Richard, we're going to probably be a little bit more complicated with your question. So before I ask your question, do any of you, well, really Richard or Akeem or Jose, do you have any comments of what Jose and Akeem just said, or questions, or shall we move on to the heavy stuff with Richard? Okay, we're going to move on to the heavy stuff with Richard. Okay, the last time you brought up something that I thought was very interesting, and that was that in what's going on in the world, not just in the United States, with all of the unrest and upheavals and governments and the conflicts. You talked about a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and that was something that the United States never had, that other countries did. After what happened on January 6th, do you think that something like at the U.S. Capitol, that could be considered an important thing to do, even more so now? And if so, how could we do it?
I think it has to be considered and conceived. It is something that I think the United States has never really truly addressed the historical context of what slavery has done to a percentage or portion of the people here in the United States. And it is divided us along class lines, it's divided us along financial lines, it has divided us upon color lines, and even now you can see it's divided us upon political lines. So it's something that it has to be considered, has to be conceived, if we're ever going to really get to the table and sit down. Where does it start at? As much as I like to say, it starts with education, obviously, and educators it needs to happen in that capacity. It has to start in our corporate boardrooms, I believe. It has to start there as well and flow down into our employment force. Obviously, with the government, it has to have a place there as well. So it has to be, if we're saying America is this great place that is a melting pot or a salad bowl, or we're saying these things, how do we get to the place to say this is what we truly are, this is who we are as a country, as a people, versus saying I'm on the right, I'm on the left, not realizing that the right and the left are all part of the same. I have a right hand, you have a left hand. We're all part of the same body. Do we cut one another off in spite of just because one doesn't get along with another? So we have to truly find a way to reconcile what has happened in this country for years and years and years, and how it has impacted so many lives, not just today, but in the past. So I know people say forget about the past; it happened long ago, but there is a great impact on what has happened, and until we begin to learn and sit down and discuss how we could move forward, it's going to be very difficult to do so. And because what will continue to happen right now, just as many hated the policies or were against the policies that President Trump had signed, now you have the same thing happening in a new administration right now. Biden is signing executive orders, and there's still a side of people that are saying, I don't like what he's doing. How do we get to a middle? How do we get to a place where we're not all, fringed up against one another when this happens?
All right. Thanks, Richard. And we have a question in the chat, and this is for Akeem. What do you think about Black and Brown communities that do not trust the vaccine? Is your area doing anything to address this issue? And that comes from Wake Tech IOC tutoring.
Thank you, IOC, one of my favorite entities at Wake Tech. As I used to teach there, I was definitely the ACA instructor, so I would try to push my students to IOC. Great question. For the first part, you said, what do I think about Black and Brown communities that do not trust the vaccine? I'll honestly start off with saying, and I say this in reference to history, I believe we have a history major that's on the, Mr. Eure on the recording. But I think rightfully so, there is reservation. When it comes down to health care in the community as a whole, we can go back as far as I believe, and I don't think people just forget where things are just passed out. So you kind of think about the days of the body snatchers. If you've never heard of that, you may want to Google it. But it was a time when medical schools would, literally someone, you don't be outside at a certain hour because, if you are outside, next thing you know, you may be a body that is being reviewed in a medical class or something like that. Also, we go back and we think about if you know the story of Henrietta Lacks, or and I know this is not the proper term, but a lot of people know it as the Tuskegee Studies, which is not the Tuskegee Studies. It's actually the United States Public Health Studies on syphilis. So saying the Tuskegee Studies is a misnomer. And I say that because I did research there as well. So I learned and I was corrected by all that. But I just say, again, what do I think about the Black and Brown communities not trusting the vaccine? Like I said, I think there's reservation for reason and for purpose. But I will also say, as from a science standpoint, just things that I know and learn and study, I would say that we all have to realize that COVID is not new. It just kind of got out of control. It is a variant of the SARS virus, so it's not necessarily anything new. And then also looking at our administration, how it was mismanaged, the previous administration, and you see the new administration coming in and saying we're kind of starting from scratch or starting from ground zero. But I would hope that you can consider the source. Something else I would say in my ACA courses, think about where the information is coming from and where you're taking it from. You don't just want to take what you hear from Facebook and run with it. There, like I mentioned about the CDC earlier, there are 2 websites, and it really escapes my mind right now. They break down what are in these vaccines. And the reason I said it's not new, because research have been done on these vaccines before about just trying to address them. It's just, it seems like this vaccine came from nowhere and, I want to, put it in somebody, but the science and research has been there. They just kind of took the new stuff and put it with the old stuff and kind of created for lack of better words, a vaccine. And then the second part of that question was, is my area doing anything to address this issue? So I work with actually one affiliate company, and more so, I'm just kind of in the area of compliance and just making sure that everyone is safe where I work at. I think for the most part, I'm glad to say where I work currently is COVID free. My job is to make sure that we stay that way. And before I got on, I, took off my mask and I have on a mask, a face shield. So there's things that we do every day just to make sure this area and this location is safe. We take COVID tests twice a week just from where we work at. And we are also offered the vaccine, like I said, just from a healthcare standpoint. But we're more so just trying to make sure our circle, as far as like the people that we serve, are safe, and then hopefully that trickle into the community. And I know they're doing a whole lot more. And sorry for this rant over, but about the vaccine and just issuing it and trying to get it out to the greater American people or population. Thank you for the question again.
All right, and thank you. And audience, if anyone else has any questions, please ask them in the chat, because we have less than 10 minutes, and then we're going to be winding it down. And for the IOC, I'm glad that they reminded me, the impact coaches at Wake Tech will be having a workshop that is being conducted by the IOC, and it's on time management and study skills. One is from 12:30 to 1, and one is from 5:30 to 6. So any students that are interested in that, you can email me, and we're going to put everybody's email up before we close out. But now I want, there it is. Student impact coaches present time management and study skills. So thank you, Sarah. Sarah is really working it out in the background. And for the students, what I'll do is I'll send you this flyer, and all you have to do is click on the time, and it will take you directly into the team's meeting. Thank you, Sarah. Now, Richard, at this point, I might come back to you, because Jose has been so very patient with me today. But because of what you do, and I recently, Friday, had a meeting with early childhood education at Wake Tech, or elementary education, I'm not sure, I said whichever one, but they teach the whole curriculum in Spanish, which I thought was very good. And I was telling them about you. So tell us about any upcoming programs that maybe some Hispanic people could tap into through you, or initiatives that are following up with your trip from Mexico even.
Yeah, definitely, Michael. Yeah, I was definitely glad to hear, that they could actually get the whole curriculum, as you mentioned, in Spanish, which is really good, because a lot of, Spanish-speaking students come to me and they're like, hey, listen, what can I do? And they just have a lot of questions, regarding the programs that they could do at Wake Tech that could be potentially in Spanish. And so I was speaking to Michael about it, and it's something that we could do in the future, is, just add classes that have, Hispanic professors, perhaps, right? I mean, that's just a conversation that I had with Michael, but I think that's definitely a great idea. As far as coming back from Mexico, an initiative that we have is we've met a couple of times, with the president of Wake Tech, Dr. Rawls, the executive vice president. We've met with a couple of more vice presidents, just to speak about the matters and see how we could, bring more Hispanic students to Wake Tech, and what could we do, to help out the community. So one of those things was actually, to hire me. I actually work very closely with the Hispanic students, because I do speak fluent Spanish, so I'm able to, understand whatever questions they might have. And so whenever they have somebody that has a question, I could definitely come in and help if it's needed. But we are definitely working on it. We're working very hard, actually, to have an area of comfort, if you would, for Hispanics, because when they come in, we want them to feel like they are being helped, like they're being listened to. And so we're working on those things, Michael. That's definitely something that's on the radar as of right now.
Okay, thank you. And Richard works with the Pathway program. And one of the things I like about it is it works to give a sense of belonging, which is what Jose is talking about, particularly of male students of color. So tell us a little bit about that. I went to 2 workshops that you've done, spectacular. One was on grooming and one was on etiquette. Tell us about some upcoming things and how can students get in touch with you if they want to participate in Pathways?
Of course, thank you. Pathways Mentoring Program, you can always go to our webpage or email us at pathwaysmentoring, pathwaysmentoring.edu. But things we do with our student, our goal is to work with minority students, minority male students, should I say, from orientation to graduation. The goal is for student development, for their personal development, for the academic development. That's what we want to do. So things we've done, like you shared, we just did a couple things on etiquette, another one on grooming. So it's about the whole person. We'll look at talking to students about their career vision on this coming Friday. So we meet every Friday virtually. We meet every Friday virtually at noon for about an hour or so, 40, 50 minutes to an hour, just to engage young men of color, to give them a sense of engagement, a sense of understanding. And we work closely with the impact coaches as well, through some maybe case management or just trying to make sure students have all the needs and all the resources they have to be successful here at Wake Tech. One thing we recognize, we talk about truth and reconciliation. The truth of the matter is our minority male students are coming up short when it comes to graduation percentages. That goes from high school through community college, through our higher institutions of education and college. So the truth of the matter is we have to find unique and creative ways to have them engage and understand they're part of the collegiate. They're part of being at the college, whether it's on campus or whether it's virtually. They are part of the system, and that they know that they're appreciated and loved, and they can be engaged in the system to be successful.
All right, and thank you. And next month is Black History Month. So I want you to know that on the second Thursday, we will probably bring some of the participants from the African American Cultural Center celebration as guests. And on the last Thursday, we have a guest that's an author, and he also was the first public relations director for the CIAA, which is the oldest athletic conference for HBCUs in the country. So that's going to be very interesting. His name is Shedrick Bird. So he has written a book, The Mississippi Bird, because he's originally from Mississippi. But he wound up being in the Navy, and that's how he wound up at Norfolk, and he graduated from Norfolk State. And he also, while he was in the military, because he worked in human resources, and had a good communications background. That is why the CIAA asked him to do that. But because it's Black History Month, of course, Wake Tech does wonderful. And Richard has agreed, along with I, to host 2 book discussions on the last Tuesday and last Wednesday of February.
Co-host with you, Mike.
You're going to be the main host. I'm going to be reading questions to Richard from the chat. But on the Tuesday, the book is called Dear Martin, and it will be both days from 12 to 1 and 5 to 6, so that we can work with all of the student populations. And it will be done through Teams, I believe. But student activities can give you more information, or you can contact Richard or I, and we'll be able to give you more information. I think that the students will enjoy it. And they have some more activities. I'm just telling you, these are the ones we happen to be participating in. So now we're ready to close it out, and I'm going to let each of you have your 30-second goodbyes. And while they're doing that, Sarah, could you make sure you put their emails with their name? And we'll start with Jose.
Well, it was definitely great to be here today. I actually had a question for Richard, so I think we're gonna have to do a part 3, Michael.
Wow.
Speaking about balance, and what he was speaking about as far as like administration, I think that we could definitely have some good talks about that. But anyways, it's been great today, and I appreciate you inviting me once again, Michael. There's my contact information for any student that's watching this. If you need anything as far as admissions and the admissions process, please feel free to reach out. All right. You have a great day and enjoy the snow, everyone. Bye-bye.
And I would add potential students or faculty and staff, any of you, contact him. Akeem?
Again, thank you all for the opportunity. I guess coming from a healthcare standpoint, I'm going to echo what our new vice president has said. Please wash your hands. Make sure you watch your distance from people. And, also, I know it's watch your distance. And I can't think, keep your mask on. And that's pretty much it. And I guess the last thing I'll add about the vaccine, even when you become vaccinated, that is not your ticket to be liberated from your mask. Keep your mask on. Still, we've seen a decrease in decline in the flu because of masks, and that's causing people to think about other ways to prevent things. But just watch your distance, wash your hands, and keep your mask on, people. And thank you for the opportunity again.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to get those websites he couldn't remember, email him. Richard.
I'll just say, I concur. Thank you so much for being a part of this distinguished panel of young men, and I really enjoyed being a part of this. And I just hope that we're able to share something with somebody that will inspire them to make their own contribution in their own way toward, racial reconciliation and health and finance and everything that they can contribute to, because everybody has a part to play.
Thank you, Richard,
for hosting this. And
no problem. And we might get y'all to come back again. Like Jose said, it sounds like a part 3 is in the making. And
sounds like fun.
Anybody who's interested in contacting me is, and I guess Sarah can put my email up there. It's meure@waketech.edu. And I thank all of you. We'll see you next month on the second Thursday. And I'm not trying to rush, but I got to go to this IOC workshop. And the good thing about technology is I can just move from this one to that one. And thank you all, and we'll see you next time.